so we do have quorum. To all town boards required to Chapter 28 of the Acts of 2009, amending MGL Chapter 38, 367 Main Street, Hyannis, Mass. 02601. This is the Human Services Committee. It is May 6, 2025, Tuesday, 5:30 p.m., Selectmen's Conference Room. First of all, apologies to everyone because I'm the one who's responsible for messing up the date. So it's the first mistake in like 8.5 years on this stuff, so who knew?
Congratulations. You're human now.
That's right. We welcome you into the human realm.
I think it's pathetic,
be
but that's
here.
just me.
So, on a roll call, committee member Suzanne Walsh.
Here.
Committee member Sherry Kay.
Me here. Me here.
I
You
got it.
here?
Yeah.
Committee member Kevin Matthews.
I am here.
And I, committee member Cheryl Powell, am also here. We did receive a notice from committee member Dr. Kim Crocker-Kravis. She's unable to make it tonight. We do have an applicant for the committee, which somebody remind me to come back to. And he will probably be coming tonight. I have also heard from committee member Wendy Crocker, and she said that she will be here. And I think who am I leaving now? Am I leaving anyone out?
That's it.
Okay. Also, welcome to Town Council Betty Lucky, who is our Town Council liaison. Okay, so that's roll call.
May I ask a question?
Absolutely.
Technically, for the minutes, is that your title in this committee? Town
I'm
Council
Town Council
Liaison?
Liaison, yes.
Okay, thank you.
Years ago, I used to say advisor, and it was actually Chris Clark who said, "We're not advisors, we're liaison."
And I wasn't sure if you were the representative, town council representative, so.
It's so that the town council is
No.
aware of what all the committees are doing, if we have to relay information.
Oh, I know what your purpose is. I
Oh.
just want to make sure that your
title's
title,
correct.
in my minutes, you're referenced
Yeah,
appropriately.
Town council liaison.
I would fight for Imperial Grand Poobah.
There you go.
I think that would be much
that's better.
Yeah, I
That's a
like
much
that better
better
too.
ring.
Think about that.
Here, let me make a note of that.
Yeah, it's Flintstones.
If
What's
we make a
going
note,
on?
we have committee member Wendy Crocker. Okay, so I'm just going to bounce through the other things because the other one's going to be longer. Approval of the minutes, of the previous minutes.
Okay, I need specifics. When you say previous minutes,
Yep.
what is that?
Do we have any minutes from the last? We
It
do.
was my birthday.
She
I
wasn't here.
That's right. Gosh, okay, so we're gonna continue that out.
Well, no, hold on. Did anyone take the minutes?
I did take notes,
Okay, that's
So-
fine.
and I've got them.
Okay.
So, and also those would be on camera.
5.
Remember, they were on camera. So, hallelujah. Okay. Information gathering and cataloging, we are still doing that, but I think it's more important that we do the report tonight first, which also gives roles and reports. We do not have a guest speaker tonight because we wanted to deal with this report. I'm opening it up for public comment. Of course, there's nobody here for public comment. So let's go to the report. Did everybody get a copy? If not, I have more.
I didn't-
got
I
one
didn't
Oh, you
see-
didn't? Okay. Whoop. Runaway plan.
Is
Is
this
that-
a new generation of the one you sent
That's
out?
this is a revision that she added some stuff to.
I did send it.
from what I
Okay.
correct.
I did send it. This is the revised as of yesterday, but I have added, since we spoke, I have put a few more things in. So I'm going to go ahead and read this because this is what we intend to say. It's what's proposed to say to the town council.
If I could just to make sure we're all on the same page, I kind of put some ideas on paper earlier this week because I think we just got to get this ball rolling. We got to get this report out there. So this was basically me with my understandings and thoughts of what we've all talked about at these meetings, putting it all down, organically and systematically into one paper that we can present and bring to them. And then Cheryl took it and tweaked it a little bit, added a couple of things that I wasn't aware of, so I'm glad she was able to do
Well,
that.
I did some and sent it to you, and then I
Yeah.
added some more today after speaking with
So,
our town council liaison.
That's where this, just so we're all aware, that's where this comes
So
from.
this is and thank you, Kevin, for all your work on it too.
Sure.
So let's read it. Human Services Committee proposed report. Human Services Committee of the Town of Barnstable extends to you the warmest of greetings. Since this committee was established by the Town Council, there has been a great deal of turnover. Now that we have finally found a consistent group of members who are ready, willing, and able to commit to the task of aiding the Town of Barnstable in all matters regarding human services, we're excited to move forward with our initiatives. The term human services refers to a field that focuses on meeting human needs and improving the overall quality of life for individuals, families, and committees through a variety of services and programs. One of the responsibilities given to the committee was to develop a report detailing our advice in our advisory capacity on how human services could be better distributed to the provide a better service.
And how human services could be better distributed to the citizens. Okay.
To the citizens of the town of Barnstable. Tonight, I'm not going to say tonight because it's a report. With this report for
Can I ask, will this be something we present, so we will read this to the council, or is it just
Cheryl is.
given to them?
I will
I think it's better that you present it.
I agree.
present it. You can do it either way. I think it should be.
Yeah, that's why I had
That's why I
tonight in
want
there.
this entire committee
And
to be
Cheryl, if
okay
I
with
were
it.
you, I'd just read through it as written, so we
Okay.
get the full gist.
Okay.
And then we can fiddle, because
Okay.
to me, it's hard when you're starting to edit as you go. It
Okay.
gets too choppy.
This report fulfills that responsibility by submitting to you an action plan that we believe will help move the town in the right direction in this regard. Our first suggestion to the town council is to create a human services department for the town of Barnstable and appoint a human services director to run that department. The director would be responsible for leading and managing various human service programs for town residents, as well as working and coordinating with independent agencies in the town to ensure the effective delivery of human services. As a Human Services Committee, it would then be our responsibility to assist the director to help develop and implement policies to improve such delivery. The Human Services Director, I'll put something else in later, would also play a key role in writing and applying for grants to aid the funding of the department and the services needed for town residents to thrive. We also propose placing any current committees that are under Human Services, the Human Services umbrella, under the Human Services Director, allowing one responsible officer to oversee all funding that comes through the Human Services realm to make sure they are allotted properly to the programs that they are meant for. An example might be the town's current opioid committee. We also believe that it is important in all facets of government in the town of Barnstable to ensure openness in all of our proceedings so that residents are aware of what we are doing in the positions that we are given and how they can commit on the decisions that are made to express their approval or for disapproval of those decisions. Until our last meeting, we believe we were one of the only town committees that did not have our meetings regularly filmed and or placed on the town Barnstable Government Access Channel. We believe that ensuring our proceedings are recorded in this manner leads to a perception that we are doing things in secret or that our work as a community does not matter. We advise that the meetings continue to find a permanent and consistent place in the recording schedule of all town boards and committees. Two final thoughts. To the best of our knowledge, most committees and boards have assigned to them a town staff assistant who takes care of the paperwork of the board or committee, such as distributing the agenda to members before each meeting, so we have time to reflect on the upcoming items, taking the minutes of the meetings and then posting them afterward, etc. We believe that a staff assistant should be permanently assigned to this committee as well. Doing less, again, leads to the questions about the commitment to ensuring transparency with the work of the committee. This will also give the impression that there is a town staff member responsible for doing all the above actions and not leaving it to a handful of volunteer committee members to complete these important tasks. Lastly, like the ability to add a second meeting each month to the calendars. We feel that having to wait 30 days to move forward and or consider any subjects that may come before the committee may cause unnecessary delay in completing the work we are committed to address. Over the last 2 years, we have had presenters from numerous entities in our community who provide human services to our residents. Examples of Such presenters would be Cape Cod Healthcare, Cape Behavioral at 460, Cape Cod Hospital, Duffy, Gosnold, the Barnstable Police, Barnstable Fire Department, BinFin, Bright Review, Relief, NAMI, Bay Code, Outreach, Council of Churches, Cape Behavioral, just to name a few. Admittedly, we did not meet for some months due to waiting for the very busy appointments committee to interview and recommend new members to the town council for approval. Understandably, they're very busy with, as I was informed, with the ad hoc committees, which meant a several-month delay for some applicants. But we finally got there, and in the end, we have been meeting regularly and with progress. We have certainly not been idle, but it is now time to coordinate an overall proposal to be considered and hopefully implemented. We now have a great team. But we also realize that in order to fulfill any proposed plans, that we also need the support of the town for coordinating and implementation. Therefore, respectfully submitting our suggestion for Human Services to have its own connection somewhere to link or plug into, such as Community Services or a Human Services Director. Most towns have a Human Services Department. We are respectfully suggesting the same or similar, such as attaching the efforts of Human Services to other entities such as Elder Services with veterans, the opioid committee, etc., plus community services. Thank you for your time and consideration in this matter. Okay. I see a few
That
grammatic
last
things.
paragraph is what was added today.
Oh, okay.
You have my original
Oh,
writing.
okay.
Well, actually, the one, and I also tweaked to you, so that I also sent, the one that I just gave to you was the tweaks I gave to Kevin over the
You
weekend.
had some missing ones, did you follow along?
I
Not
don't.
the last
Okay,
part, but I.
this
I
may
heard
not
what
be
you
the
said.
newest, but if he wants that.
That we're just going
Yes, this is the
over.
one we're talking about right now.
Okay.
Well, I sent to everyone, I think it was yesterday, or it might have been very early hours this morning, the ones that I tweaked for Kevin.
That's what I have right here. That's the one with all the added paragraph about the presenters and blah, 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 blah.
Well, that was done later on today. There's 2 tweaks I sent to you.
Well, the one at 738 I have has all the things that but you did add other things that I haven't seen,
Yeah.
so.
So the copies I've given to everyone, I have more copies I have here. Because after Betty and I talked, Betty, do you mind if I put you on the spot to talk about what the
Yeah, no,
meeting
you
you
can
went
go
to?
ahead and do that, yeah.
Do you want to update one? Patrick, thank you for coming. I'm gonna try to send this down, but I doubt I can send it straight.
I got you.
Almost made
Okay,
it straight.
Bartender.
Was there any
yeah,
other?
thank you, Cheryl.
That's it right here.
You just have to
think
add
it's
the
the same.
last couple of pages, so the last page to it.
Betty has the floor.
Okay, all right, I think this is a very good overview. I'd like to see more on this sentence.
Okay, tell me where you are, how many lines down?
It's in the second paragraph. One of the responsibilities given to this committee was to develop a report detailing our advice and our advisory capacity on how human services could better be distributed to the citizens. So this talks a lot about what you're doing, but we need to focus a little bit here. Let me tell you why. It's about how you're going to distribute human services. How are you going to impact the community? You do mention the opioid piece, and here's the discussion here. And I think some of you have either watched live or watched the video of the Committee on Committees, of which I'm a member.
Are you referencing last night's meeting?
No,
Or just in general?
Last week. There's
Oh, a recent meeting,
it's called the Committee on Committees.
but it's like the most recent.
It's an ad hoc, the most recent meeting we've had, yes.
I have not seen it, I've just heard about it.
Okay, but I think some of you have seen it, okay? So what we're trying to do is look at all of the committees of the town and see which ones make sense, which ones maybe don't make sense, how we could better align them, how we could make them more valuable to the town. Because everyone should have value added. We did have some discussion that perhaps, and I did not agree with this, but it was said at the meeting that perhaps some of the committees are kind of a social club for people so that they can come and participate in the town, but it doesn't really matter that it doesn't really contribute. I think that's off base myself. I don't think people have such vacuous lives that they have to come here and pretend to participate on a committee that doesn't offer a whole lot, okay? So that was expressed. And as we were discussing, I was kind of adamant that we make some progress, okay? We've got to move forward. So Councilor Burdick was there. I said, Councilor Burdick, pick 5 committees that we think maybe are the ones that are the most, maybe not plugged into the town, or maybe not as, quote, valuable or effective as they could be. And we're gonna look at those at our next meeting, which is, I believe, on the 21st.
Okay.
And perhaps several of you would want to be there for that meeting.
What
It
time?
is, I took a screenshot, the 21st from 3:30 to 5, right here in this room, okay? And he picked human services, I think golf.
That's just insane. I'm sorry. Golf
Anyways,
brings in
I
more
said-
money
I
to the
said,
Could you
town.
just clarify something for me? The individual that's tasked with doing this selection, what is their
Seth
title?
Burdick.
No, their title.
Oh, he's a town
Town
councilor
council,
from
Katuitt.
Katuitt.
Okay, but you gave him a name, like there's something or other. He was tasked with, you
I asked him, I
You
said,
asked him.
I just said, to move this forward, Seth, you pick the 5 that we're gonna look at first, because you gotta start somewhere.
Okay, but in the big scheme of life, what is he's just
He
a
is
town
Town
council?
council.
He's a town councilor, he's a member of the committee on committees.
Okay, town council.
Okay, so I can't remember the 5, golf sticks out in my mind, and I know human services is in
You know,
there.
something with
Okay.
the elderly.
Yes,
The
yeah, the
elderly?
council on aging, I think
Council
was
on
another
Aging.
one.
Yeah,
And then
Which is
there's
because
2
it's
others.
dissolved.
Might have
Yeah.
been Water Maze Committee, it might have been that too, might have been, but in any event, I talked to Cheryl about this, and then after you and I talk, Cheryl, I talked to Chris Ganella. And you say, why would you talk to Chris Ganella? Well, I talked to him because at the Committee on Committees, when we were talking about human services, I said, and I used the word plug in, I said, human services has nowhere to plug in.
absolutely.
Golf
That's right.
has a place to plug in, right? Because we have a golf area. I mean, I'm looking at the,
Director of,
we have the,
We have a director of golf.
it's not
Yes.
golf, it's whatever
yes,
the.
no,
Recreation.
I'm looking
Recreational
at community
services.
services
Yeah.
here.
Right.
There is the golf course. There's 2 golf courses and they are divisions under community services, okay? All
And they're
right,
probably funded by the town.
No,
Yeah.
they're private, they're
they are
Privately owned?
enterprise.
enterprise.
Yes.
But
They
are
make,
they enterprise funds?
Yes, they're enterprise
Okay, that
funds.
still falls under the purview of the
right, but what I
town.
mean though is they make their own money.
I understand,
They don't-
I fully understand
Yeah,
that,
they
but
don't
I'm
have,
just
they don't have a
saying-
budget.
Okay, so here's the discussion. So why did I call Chris Canella and why am I talking about community services, other than I remember that the golf committee is gonna be one of the first 5? Because when we were discussing human services and the lack of an ability for you to plug into the town, someone said, and I can't remember, there's Kristen Turkelson, Chris Clark, me, and Seth Burdick are the town councilors on this. Somebody said, well, why wouldn't they plug into community services?
Good idea.
We never thought of that. And if you look on here, I mean, look at who's under community services. And if you look at their
Can you read
mission
them out so
statement.
everybody has them since
Yeah,
we're on
okay,
camera?
I'll read them
Council
out.
on Aging, Hyannis Youth.
Yeah, it's Community Services, Council on Aging, Hyannis Youth and Community Center, golf course, the 2 golf courses, okay, that's kind of a stretch, right? Recreation, Veteran Services, and Youth Services. Everything that you guys would want to plug into
Yeah.
is under Community Services.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
Wasn't this committee or this council set up before and it stopped for some reason?
What council?
This committee?
Committee on Committees?
No,
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 your
because
committee.
Our committee.
what happened on that, I'll clarify, is that I came on 3 years ago, 3 years this month. And they were not meeting, they hadn't met for months. And there were a lot of people that didn't show up. And then
So it
they
just
started
wasn't
fading
solvent.
away.
It didn't-
So what happened was other people were interested in coming on. And they had lives, they had businesses and things, commitments, it happens. So I started people fishing for people for this committee.
All right.
But then we had the whole, people, at that time, we were meeting on Zoom because we were still in the pandemic.
Yeah.
But then when we started coming back to in person, then it really fell apart with people showing up. So, so we had people who had applied. There are 2 people who applied before Kevin. Kevin, you applied in January. Was it last year or the year before?
Well, I don't remember, November of last year was my first meeting, so I don't remember when it all
So it
came
was the
together.
previous January, because I know you waited about 6-7 months before you got you were before the,
Before I sat before
before
the,
you sat before the appointments committee.
correct.
Another 2 people did not get before the appointments committee. There's another person who apparently had waited another long time.
I
So,
just
Kim-
wanted to bring up,
Well, what happened was there was a break there because we didn't have quorum. So
but
that's
that
why we weren't
isn't, that
meeting.
isn't really where I was going.
Oh, I'm sorry.
What, if there was a council, a committee already, and the town council reinstated this committee?
Oh, I don't think they
Nobody
ever, they never just,
reinstated
it
anything.
wasn't
Since this
established.
committee was established by the town council,
Mhm.
so the town council established this committee.
Yes.
Why wasn't this information given to us on the onset of the new committee?
What
Why are we
Wasn't
getting it
There is
now
no new
when-
committee, it's
There's
always
no new
been,
committee.
it just hasn't been enough people to make quorum to make the committee go.
Or they weren't showing up.
So it legitimately was supposedly running, just not being,
No one's showing up.
Not meeting.
if no one's meeting, there's no.
We weren't meeting because we didn't have a quorum. We had like 4 people that decided that they couldn't come. So we didn't have the quorum.
It was
So,
an established committee,
Yeah.
but due to lack of quorum, they weren't physically meeting.
yes.
I just think when we got together and we had quorum,
Finally,
all
Yeah.
this information should have been at our fingertips to go forge
Which
ahead.
information?
What information?
Like what you just brought up,
Oh,
those,
what? No, a
It
reason
didn't
I bring it
exist.
up, because the Committee on Committees has had literally 2 meetings. This was
They're-
one
they
of
are
the-
a new committee.
But
This is
isn't
an
that-
ad hoc committee.
what you're showing me on your,
Community services?
is that the town of Barnstable listing?
That's
Oh, they
website.
existed beforehand,
Yeah,
yeah.
So it's the town of Barnstable listing.
Right here.
Oh, yeah.
Yep.
I just pulled up the Council on Aging.
but
Yeah.
prior to what Betty's showing you, it had fallen under a different purview.
Exactly.
Okay, so now, what, through this, her meetings and stuff, there's a re-evaluation, if you will, as to what the appropriate, the more appropriate department would be for this committee to align itself with, as in
Exactly.
plug in and
there's-
be, in, what she's saying is, where we were previously
You weren't
living.
anywhere.
We weren't
Yeah.
anywhere.
We weren't anywhere. We were in this
we were in-
holding pattern, but because we're moving forward and actually getting some traction, which you, if I read you correctly, it's important to actually make that connection
Yes.
so that it legitimizes
I think
us.
this is very exciting, yes.
And the appropriate, you're suggesting, or whoever is suggesting, that the most appropriate department for us to come under their purview is community development based on the
community
other
services.
excuse me, based on all of the other entities that live there.
Yes.
Do I have that
Yes.
correct?
You
But
have, you have
some-
nailed it,
Some
yes.
yes, some no. The purview has never changed.
No,
The
okay,
purview
I'm
is
just
to
saying
make-
Yeah.
that the
But
location.
you've never
Don't-
had any
yeah,
traction.
We never had
and you
any
never-
traction.
I just don't
Here's-
understand why that wasn't something considered when these meetings
Because
started.
We had no
again.
traction.
Well, we needed, we have been bucking for it. And like last time was the first time we had it on camera. And that was
Yeah, we
after
were
a
like,
meeting.
Well,
the
we've
ugly
been-
stepchild.
I would say we've been, nobody was even entertaining the idea of a department head.
Mhm.
And that may be kind of a moonshot. I think a division within an existing department
Yeah, I
would be a much more viable way for you guys
To plug in.
To plug in.
It's phase
But-
one.
Phase
Let's call
one.
it phase
Yeah.
one. Okay, you can't take the quantum leap
Yes.
though through some of your suggestions and expect the town council to go, hell yeah, that ain't gonna happen. You have to phase it, you have to prove what
You
you're
have to-
capable
You have
of.
to prove your value. That's why I say go back
Yeah.
to this sentence. You can't just say, what are you shaking your head about?
No, this is what I disagree with, is the fact that, again, you're throwing this on the volunteer committee. All right, you guys come up with a plan. Wait a minute, we need someone to say, this is what I need from you. Like, the Council on
Nobody's
Aging,
gonna say that.
No.
so the
nobody's
Council
gonna
on
say
Aging doesn't have anybody who runs that council?
They do,
Okay.
They do.
The golf
Yeah.
department, is somebody who runs the golf department?
yes.
I don't think.
How about
we-
the Hyannis Youth and
No,
Community
what
Center?
I'm saying is you need a division head.
Yes.
Yes.
And the idea is, but you have to, I talked to Chris Ganella, and his word was a very good word. He says, I'm very intrigued by this idea.
Good idea. Good word.
But he wants to meet with you.
Yep.
Preferably before the 21st, so we move this thing forward, we take advantage of the momentum that's underway. And you tell him, for example, I said, what about the opioid? And he was like, well, the opioid needed a broader scope.
Mhm.
And you gave the opioid example. But he needs to understand, what would you do?
Okay.
What would you bring to the town? I know what you're saying, Kevin, but there's no one in the town that has the knowledge base that you people have.
Yeah.
But I'm saying, if you perhaps looked at the like, when I come up in here and I click on Council of Aging, it brings up the Adult Community Center.
Yeah.
But yet the Council of Aging is a committee. But yes, there are town employees
Right.
working there.
But you have, where there's the disconnect, okay, it's, as we sit right now, we don't have, and I'll just call it an advocate,
That's
okay?
I was gonna
Okay,
say, you
so
do not
we
have
don't
an
have-
advocate.
An advocate because we don't fall under the purview
Of
of a
anyone.
department where Cheryl or any Cheryl, I guess would be, could go to the director of that department and say, okay, I got a problem and this is where our committee is, could you help us? You're wafting in the wind, and I love your suggestion that, yeah, you gotta get under that umbrella
You gotta-
so that you have that connection.
Yeah.
And I just call it an advocate, because right now, other than you,
Other than you,
th-
you have
th-
nothing.
you have nothing. You have no one.
Okay.
Wait a
And when
minute.
I hear Chris Ganella say he's intrigued by the idea, but come to me with something,
When did you speak with Chris last?
a couple hours ago.
Good, because yes, and I won't call him tonight because it's.
No,
it's
don't
dinner
call him
time.
tonight.
But
No,
if you,
but
if you
he
could give
wants,
him
like
my,
anybody who's a department head who's incredibly busy, he wants, that's why I said, this sentence, this is all background stuff, okay? You need to flesh out. Chris, this is what we could do. You have youth services under here. This is how we could plug into
already
youth
know what to
services,
say.
okay?
Yeah.
You have the Council on Aging. You've already said that's your passion.
This is how we can
This
support
is how we can
your-
support that.
Your
Yeah.
support
Okay.
the programs that you are currently in
Yes.
charge of.
You're
well,
at the
and coordinated
HYCC.
between them. The big thing is in
But-
coordinating. So I already know what to
But again,
say on that.
I remain confused because, yes, this is the project, this is what you oversee. We don't have that person. We don't have an advocate. We don't have the
Well, that's-
person.
That's
But
what
that's
they're
what
yes.
we're saying.
Kevin,
Yeah.
what Betty's saying is,
You're gonna
we're gonna put
enter
this
at the
together, we're gonna
division
have a
level.
meeting, and hopefully we will go with the proposal that we come under this advocate.
Right, I agree with you.
And
Yeah.
Chris becomes your advocate to say, I could use this division. I can see how this
This will
division-"
help the areas that
Yes.
I am currently
Right.
overseeing. It will help, it will be a benefit and an asset to help support and supplement,
Well,
if you will.
there you go.
Go
Yeah.
to our purview.
Please take her to talk
Yeah.
to Chris.
Yeah.
The thing is, we take the purview, and that is to coordinate the services that are within the town. And because of the services that we have through here, just with us, and the connections that we have within
You
the
have amazing
community.
connections.
And we have people who aren't here tonight, and the people who have already come to us and have presented that represent huge, entities within the town that provide vital services. I have a pretty good idea what to say. I will contact them tomorrow.
I think following your lead, this is a great document. If it
It
were
is.
me choreographing it,
Yeah,
I would, based on what you said, based on the areas that would be helpful for all of those things that you've listed there.
Yeah.
I would rewrite the
We need to do
document.
it again, yeah.
I would rewrite the document
To
and
plug in
into
his division.
and to identify,
Yeah.
and I'll just say elder services, I'll just use
Right.
that. You know what? What's the gentleman's name?
Chris Gonella.
Okay, Chris.
And he's a wonderful person.
Here are
I know
the
him.
programs that you're responsible for, elder services. Here, in collectively, in our opinion, here's where the Human Services Committee could be of assistance to Program A,
Yeah.
Program B,
That's right.
Program D, and whatever he's got
And
there.
again, he has the
And-
whole youth services,
and
he has the
youth,
youth,
whatever
he has
it
both
is.
ends.
But give him 3, you don't have to have, 100 ideas, but if you could identify 3 critical areas that need help,
Maybe not even 3.
whatever.
Yeah.
We already
You-
have
you've got-
5 areas that are identified.
No, I
as
mean, as
umbrellas.
they relate to those programs
That's right.
that he oversees, because maybe one program, there are 4 that we could be helpful. There may be a different area, like elder services, maybe there's only 2, or, veterans, whatever. But if,
He has veterans too.
but I
He
think
does
it's
have
so,
veterans, yeah.
so, you get one shot at it,
You do.
okay?
You
But
get
one
to-
shot, and if you can identify just a couple of areas that this committee could help him, his eyes are gonna get this
Yeah,
big,
it's
and
gonna
he's gonna
relieve some
go,
of the pressure.
you
I have a
bet.
very good
Exactly.
idea what to say, but we do have to rewrite
So-
this though.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah,
So
yeah.
could
But
I comment, because
Sure.
Kevin, I appreciated you taking the time.
Absolutely.
We already
And
said that
good
before you
document.
came
And
in.
I'm sorry,
Yeah.
I really appreciated you taking the time to organize this. This is I've almost been on this committee for a year now, and I was feeling a bit frustrated because I appreciate where this is coming from, but I feel like the tone is defensive. And instead of, I think some of the history is important, but I think we really need to lead with what we can offer.
Absolutely.
yeah, I've already
And
said
to
He's
that,
too
and to,
defensive.
and to that end, I went to Falmouth Human Services. I met
Oh.
with the director of Falmouth Human Services because I wanted to understand the structure more. And I thought that would be important information. It was good timing because I had called there last week to set up a meeting with the director. And then this came through, your information came through, and then I met with her this morning.
You met
So,
with, I'm sorry, the director?
yeah, I met with the
I'm
director.
trying to think of her
it
name,
gave me-
some,
No, Susie Hopman.
oh, okay, no.
Okay,
I met with
she's been
another,
the-
maybe she's new because I met with her
she's
a couple
been
years
there.
ago.
She's been with them 17 years, 7 years as the director. But it was very eye-opening, and I have more notes, but I'm happy to share about it. But they have, they have 7 full-time social workers and 1 part-time Portuguese-speaking social worker. And so she talked about her responsibilities as the director of Falmouth Human Services, how that's evolved over time. And I think, I think it would be good they've been there, this is their 50th year. So they're not new
It's
at this.
amazing.
It is amazing. It's remarkable what they offer in the town of Falmouth. Their needs may be different, but it's still pretty incredible. And I don't think we need to recreate the wheel. Then there's, of course, Mashpee Human Services, which was modeled after
Yep,
Falmouth
it
Human
was.
Services, but it's right now there's 1 director. So that might be worthwhile information.
I've talked with that director. I also met with not only Gosnold and Falmouth about 2 years ago, but I also met with somebody from the Human Services, who I thought was the
Is it
director.
Human Services or Human
No, they have a Human Services department.
Department?
And
Not
now what they did, like
committee.
for instance, with the opioid stuff, they then put it through Human Services, which also includes Gosnold and all that, but we don't have a Human Services department. But that's what I was checking into it for.
If you go onto the website, you type in Human Services Department, a bunch of names come up.
for,
And we don't
for
have
for
one.
No, we
Barnstable?
don't have one. We
but-
don't have one.
So
But I-
Wendy,
But
what-
that's,
what-
yeah.
What would you propose? I mean, in terms of what we're talking about, how would we able to kind of replicate or kind of, build on what Falmouth does, but in the context?
You know,
Well, that's a department, though. I
I
know, they're not gonna hire
Could you
7.
take some of?
but
some-
that's not how it started. How it
No.
started 50 years ago was one person.
Yeah.
Right?
Exactly.
And
That's
it was
that's
a
what I'm
very
saying. We have to start
grassroots.
somewhere.
And then from there,
Yes.
Well,
and so what it is, I mean, it's been over 20 years since I've been there, and I really felt like, so their mission, Falmouth Human Services mission is to serve more vulnerable people in their community that are either uninsured, underinsured, or really restricted access to care because of their lack of resources. So it could be they have a high deductible. 50% of the clinical time is spent more traditionally in individual counseling. They offer a bunch of groups, but really what they do, they connect people with all the different supports in the community. So they don't have interns the way that they once did, but in their building, one of the offices, they have like the housing assistance comes in and works with people to work on applications. Another time, somebody comes in to help people fill out applications for mass help. There are lawyers that donate their time to help people that are immigrants in this community. So there's so many different services, but the director does not see people for direct clinical services. So she oversees grants, she reports regularly to the town manager. I mean, it's a pretty interesting, it's evolved quite a bit over the years.
But that is in a human services department, and
That isn't?
no, it is.
It is.
But the thing is,
They're
I
paid
think
full-time people.
they're paid full-time people.
But they
What
may
we
be-
need initially is somewhere to plug
To
into,
start.
to connect with.
Well, that's,
And we
it's
can't
phase
start where
one
they did
only.
Yes,
50
phase
years
one.
ago either.
I just feel coming to this committee and saying, you guys gotta prove your worth, is putting the cart before the horse. Whoever organized the committee, who set this up at the beginning, should have said, here's what your committee is supposed to do. As the leader of your
What does
committee,
it say you're supposed to do?
Coordinate, coordinate the collaterals within the community is basically at the
But
purview.
it's so vague and
It's
it's
really
so
what it comes down to, it's a
over-
lot wider. Well, yeah.
You know, let's be honest.
oversimplified.
That's
Yeah.
where we are, Kevin.
no,
mean,
I know, but that's
it-
what I thought we were gonna do, is try to find a way. Guys, this doesn't work this way, because we're meeting 6 months in a row with nothing going on. We need an advocate, I don't care what you call, we need someone to set the tone. Guys, let's get together, I'm the director, I'm the advocate, this is what we need from your committee. And then we get together and say, how do we put their action plan into work?
Nobody knows what they need from your committee because nobody's focused on this.
That's exactly
Nobody.
what we need, is
But
somebody to
Chris
focus on
is
it.
said
I
he's
think that-
intrigued by this,
I-
and he has pieces of you already.
So I have a pretty good idea. I think we do have to rewrite that.
But yeah, you can't, like Wendy's, I think your comment was, you cannot hit
Yeah.
him with, I don't have staff support.
No,
Yeah,
I mean,
no,
just show him
absolutely
where
not.
the value is, and
Yeah,
then.
I get it.
And we can still say some of the things that were
Yes.
said in this, but there's a way of saying them
Yeah.
that is going to support our hard work and efforts.
And then
You know,
you
we're
do get-
excited to report that we have a full quorum, we're meeting on a regular basis, we're looking to have a second meeting every month. I mean, this is, I
Well,
think.
that's all in there.
And we're all
It's
looking
it's
for
in there,
results.
but there is a heavy underlying tone.
Yeah, but
That- that's
Kind
how
of
I
like
do
if
it.
Eeyore is presenting it, well, you know, if we had this, if we had that,
I know,
and it's
that
like,
doesn't good.
no, it's like, get out there with your pom-poms. Where,
Yes.
okay, you know, in the past, yeah, it's unfortunate that you didn't have quorum and all that kind of stuff, but we put all that aside, and now we're like, we're in it to win it,
Yes.
and this is
Okay,
what we're
that's-
doing.
That's where we are. I am going to give Chris a call. And.
But I
do want
think you
me-
should have other people
I
other
will,
than
I will.
yourself. You
And-
should
Well, we
and
don't
you
want
know
to
what?
establish a quorum.
I think it's important. I think what I took away from Falmouth Human Services,
Yeah.
even though I had an idea of what they do, I do think we should look at some of the things that Susie is doing, because it's what we would want a
Yes.
director
Susie.
doing.
That
Could
was,
I ask
that
you-
was the
That's
name.
the, yeah.
Could I ask you how she uses her Falmouth Human Services Committee?
I don't think they
Because
have a
she's the
committee.
director. How is that committee used?
They
She
don't
doesn't
have
have
a
a
committee.
committee.
She
They
They
has-
do,
Yeah.
I saw it on the
They do,
website.
they do
give us
have a
committee.
committee, and it's not, they don't have a ton of members on the community, committee. They meet regularly, actually at this time, on the first Tuesday of the month, right around this time. And then, you know, I think it's different. She uses it in a way that connects them with other, like the Commission for Substance Use. She's connected with the police department and the 2 social workers there. So I think, I mean, Falmouth has been doing this for a really long
They
time,
have.
so they're
And they do
all.
a good job.
They're
I mean, they're
very
very,
established.
yeah, and they're very supportive of one another. So there's a piece that's like how we integrate behavioral health into a medical model. I mean, they are very far ahead in all the towns Cape-wide. They really are the leaders in a lot of ways for how they've integrated.
But the thing is, they have a human services department. It is well established. There is a reluctance, from what I have seen, to have I agree with the idea of a human services department, but there has been a reluctance. I think Betty's idea to link in somewhere that is doing that is an excellent idea with community services.
And you said
But
you
That's
want
a
to-
start.
creates-
It's a start.
It creates, it puts the thought in people's
Yeah.
heads where,
And you
you
build.
know what?
You build.
That's a good idea. And then you have an advocate that goes, wait a
Right.
second, you really need to think about it, if only to start with the one person and then go from there and have the one person work with this committee because you only have 2 hands, but if you have a committee, a committed committee to help
Yeah.
the
And I think an
person.
important part of the presentation is gonna be, you mentioned it, Wendy, grants.
Mm-hmm.
What are the grants? Tell him, these are some of the grants we can apply for.
Exactly.
Not just grants, the blah, blah, blah grant, the blah, blah, blah grant.
Well, they're all
But and to your
eliminated.
point, one of the things that, because I worked public sector, I'm gonna tell you, if you're gonna move forward and you really want a director, you better be able to say, we've done our research, and yes, the town doesn't have any funding set aside for a director. However, here's 5 grants that are available that we could apply for, and they would fund the position. And then
Exactly.
any town,
Well, that was the idea
yeah,
originally.
they're gonna go, great, not gonna cost us anything. And then you say, and we'll apply for the grants if we're successful, and you,
Well, that was-
I won't say trap
But
them.
That was why I roped you in, Sherry, because of your grant experience.
But you must go to him with, I can't
Yeah.
tell you enough, you can't go in there complaining. You have to go in there with a positive, this is what we can do, this is how we can plug in.
Yep.
These are the kind of grants.
And
It
this
has
is what
to be.
we've done, and this
Yes.
is what we're building on. But
Right.
I appreciate where this is coming from. That's not the tone I read
Right.
from it at all. It's nobody's supporting it. You know
Right.
what? We just need to move on. We
Move
need to
on
kind
from
of
it.
draw the line in the sand and
So
say
we're
this
gonna
is where we're
rewrite it.
at. You know, when I
Thank you,
went,
Kevin, for all your hard work.
Can I
on
ask a
that.
question? What have we done in the past 6 months? You keep saying we have to show them what we've done. What have we done?
We're meeting, we have.
I'll tell you, you know what, I don't think that we had, and that's part of my frustration, because I'm
Right.
part of this, right?
Yeah.
Okay, that's why I went to Falmouth Human Services. We've been fragmented and talking all over the place. I think today with like the slew of emails about today's meeting, that frustrates me. I'm just gonna be honest in saying it frustrates me. We were told to look on the town website.
Yeah.
That's what we should be doing. We should be consistently meeting. This is what the plan is. We need to be better organized. So what should we be doing? We should have already created, I mean, we have so much we should have already created. We should have a proposal and kind of a rough draft on what a director should look like. What are the responsibilities? How can that
Yes.
help? This is what we've done. We have quorum now, right?
Yep.
That's important. We're meeting consistently. We're open to the public seeing these meetings. We want their input. We want them aware of how we're helping with human services. We should be, I think we should have our database up and running. We don't.
No.
We don't. So I feel like, while I appreciate we've had these different people in speaking, I think that's getting ahead of ourselves. I think we need something concrete that we've done. I think if we had the database, that would be an impressive starting point. If you look at Mashpee Human Services website or found this, they have like their different groups that are posted. They have their mission statement.
I
mean,
agree.
it's not a ton. It's not a ton of information. We could do that. We could do that pretty easily.
But the
got that
problem
all
is, and this is what I keep saying, this is a volunteer committee. People who have other lives, other jobs, other things going on in their worlds that don't have maybe the time at 10 o'clock at night or on a Saturday when they're taking the kids to that's why you need a responsible member of the town
Yes.
who's the one who's, that's why you get paid to do this kind of stuff. And if they say to us, hey, in a committee, we need to put this out, or we need to get a worksheet out or a questionnaire to do these different places, what should we put on it? And we get together, we talk about it. But you're asking a bunch of volunteers to do it all. And I just don't think that's right.
No, it
I
isn't.
think as the
That's what we're trying
town,
to say.
as the town, you need to have a responsible person in charge of this committee. I'm not saying you, I'm saying above you.
Yeah.
You're in charge of the committee. You need someone in charge of the message, of here's the direction we're going in. Because right
But
now,
I
there's no
think-
direction.
That's
You know,
what
I
we're
think
getting
that
at.
that's common for what you're saying. I think that's unfortunate with a number of committees. And I'll just cite, when you're a committee, you're, as far as like posting the agenda, we finally made that hurdle, okay? But that's a perfect example of the town doesn't allocate adequate staffing to supply all of those demands, because if they do that for human services, whatever the I'll call it the designated staff person, like you have for commissions, we have the staff person, they do the minutes, they do the agenda, they do
Right.
all that organization. The town just doesn't have the resources to make that happen, and they are not going to, because if they do it, and that's just a statement, I'm not being critical of them, because if they do it for one, the 5 committees they want to eliminate. If they do it for this one, they got to do it for the golf and
Golf
so.
has several paid staff people.
Yes.
No, you're the only one. I
Really,
think,
that's what I'm saying. The Council on Aging, Veteran Services, they all have paid staff people. We're the ones that are in the wind.
So then let's create.
Okay.
Yeah, that's what I'm
let's
saying.
align in
That's
creating the
your
proposal for
proposal.
who that,
Yeah.
how that person, how we could assist that person.
what I'm trying to say is,
We
Kevin,
got
as
it.
part of your proposal, is that Chris Ganella accept a division under him
Yeah.
called
Yes.
Human Services. And it could be paid for perhaps with grant money.
I think that's great.
There are
Responsible for the agenda and do the
30
minutes and
positions.
posting.
We just had the police chief come in the other day to the council. She's using money because she's down 13 police officers.
Yeah.
Dan Santos has come in any number of times. I'm using this money because I'm down. Okay, there's staff money in flex.
Yeah.
Something could be flexed for a year before maybe grants could kick in. Use what is available and make suggestions to Chris. And he even said to me, he goes, well, I need to talk to Andy and Mark. But you got to start somewhere. And I think it starts with you guys being very positive and showing where you can do. For example, I know the county, their human services, one thing that they've globbed onto is tax assistance. It's a
Okay.
huge program. And guess who runs it? It's the Adult Community Center. They
Yeah,
run the
they do.
tax
They do.
assistance, okay? That's human services. There you go.
Shine.
Yes,
Yeah.
they run it.
They
You
run
guys-
it in like they provide the assistance for
Yes,
get- yeah,
people
for
go through
information.
them to plug into it.
Help you
Okay.
pick out
What I'm
what
saying,
plan you want to be
use
on.
existing
Social Security.
frameworks. That's a
Exactly.
perfect example. They took this program, they
And-
plugged it in,
And then it doesn't.
and then it was.
And-
The newest program they're plugging in to the Adult Community Center is the Veterans Work-Off
Sorry.
Program. We used to have, I don't know, well, you're, who? I'll just say you and I are the only old ones here.
Just because we have gray hair, is
Yeah.
that what you're trying to tell me?
Anyways, if you're over 60 and you own your home, you can do a veteran or a senior work-off program where you can get now up to $2,000
Oh, is that
off
like
your
the, is
taxes.
that like the, if you,
volunteer at
work
the
at
police?
the beach? You know, you.
Wherever
yeah,
you
whatever.
work, the
Yeah,
town
yeah,
decides
okay.
where you work.
Yeah.
It's
Okay.
called a work-off program.
Okay.
You get paid a very low wage, but you have to do like 100 hours. It's kind of volunteer service. And then you get $2,000 off your tax bill.
Yeah.
I hadn't
Well,
heard
for
of that
a
one.
year, yes. Well, I don't know. Everyone's probably old enough then, okay. But anyways, it's 60
Oh, no, I'm
years old.
29.
Okay, well then you're not. Okay,
I'm just
but
reversing my age.
for
I'll be
years,
17 forever.
we didn't incorporate the veterans. There's a veterans work-off program. So the town council finally voted it in.
Nice.
And then we've been like fooling around with it. Where does it belong? Where does it belong? It's kind of like this. Where does it belong? So in really, we had no one participating, which is criminal. We have all these veterans, and then we finally figured it out. It belongs here at a community center. So now they're running it. So I'm saying you've got to figure out, and I think Kevin, you're right. This is ludicrous that you don't have a staff person. That's part of your proposal.
It is.
It needs to be a division.
Yeah,
Like,
so,
to your point.
But you've got to
that-
start somewhere.
Those programs, back to my point, they provide the funding for the staff person. So
Exactly.
if the
Exactly.
town goes, oh no, here's the salary,
Yeah.
here are the programs, blah, blah, blah.
Well, that's something I did not put in, but we have talked about is creating grants or applying for grants to pay for the position that we're trying to do. That just is not in that proposal, but we
Yeah.
have talked about that before. Listen, all I did was put out an idea. Like I said in the
thank
emails
you
to
very much.
everybody.
No, you started.
That's
it.
No,
I
but-
actually didn't, we got.
What I mean is that I wasn't trying to be defensive in this. I was trying to put down all of the discussions we've had about the issues.
I
and
think you were accurate in what you wrote.
Yes.
I think you were accurate.
You may be
It's-
right that the tone and tenor could be a little bit different.
But that's been the tone of our meetings, and that's what I want to challenge.
Yes.
That's what I want to challenge us to think about.
Very good.
You know what? I felt really frustrated. I'm like, wow, 10 months. I've been sitting here and not making the difference that I know I'm capable of making. And I think we're all feeling that in different ways. So, but we need to change the tone.
That's
We need
fine.
to
I
change
have,
the tone.
I have no
So-
problem with that.
We don't want to beat it to death. So we've got a good idea here. I have a very clear path in front of me of what I'm going to be doing.
We
I
have
will-
between now and the 21st
Yep,
to
so
sell this.
we will,
What happens, I mean, the
that's when they meet
21st,
again.
the 21st is like that'd be the perfect date? And then after that, it's kind of
No,
whenever
the
they meet.
21st is our meeting where these 5 committees.
Okay, it's the potential,
Yeah.
drop dead date.
It's when we're
Okay.
looking at these 5 and we're talking to we decided we're talking to the department heads because committees are only as valuable as how they plug into the town and lead through the staff to the department heads. So we figured this out. We said, how are we going to evaluate these committees? Call in the heads? No.
No.
We're going to call in the department heads and say, what do you think of this committee? Is it helping you or
Yeah.
not? Or how can we make it help you? So on the 21st, these 5 committees, which I wish I could remember, but
You
I know
did.
Human
You remembered 'em.
Services, I know Golf is one,
You're
I know
missing one.
Council on Aging, so I'm missing 2.
You're
No,
missing
you're
two.
missing one.
Waterways?
You've got-
Waterways, I
Yeah,
think.
you've got waterways, you have council on aging.
Waterways,
golf,
there's one
Human
other.
services, and there's one other.
Okay, so those are 2 department heads. I think the other one fell under the natural resource, or whatever you want to call it. But I know we focus on Chris Ganella.
Yeah.
Because he's got Golf and he's got
I will
Council
be
of
giving him a
Aging
call.
and potentially Human Services.
And this
Do
is
you
not
want
a
me to-
town council meeting, this is just.
This
the-
is
This
a
is
town
committee.
council ad hoc committee. We're to report to the town council.
So that's what I was just gonna ask. Do we have to present this report to the town council? Because that's what our purview says.
Well,
We
you
do
should
that
go
in June.
through this
We do
ad
that in
hoc
June.
Go through the
committee.
committee? Okay.
The ad hoc committee is where you need to be right
That's
now.
right.
But I think
Exactly.
what Betty's saying is you need to appeal to the Chris.
Yes.
And with all the things that we discussed about, okay, and I would have a meeting with him and just like a regular meeting and have it all
Yeah,
written
that's right.
down
Yes,
for points of discussion, and then say to him, I'm more than happy, this is what, as we discuss, this is how I think that we can plug in and be of assistance to your other programs, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And then say to him, do you want me to document it for you? And
right,
let him say, because
Yeah.
on the 21st, you're gonna be called
yeah,
upon
either
to-
he or,
to,
he'll
uh,
probably come
to
himself,
defend-
yes.
to defend
his
or,
committees,
yeah, or support
Yeah.
the continuing, and I'd be more than happy to, throw together a document that addresses all the areas that we think the Human Services Committee could help
Right,
benefit the different
Yeah.
areas that you are responsible for.
Can I ask, just so we have it out there, anybody have any ideas of what those things are?
Yes, because we already identified them in previous meetings. It's putting together the connections that we have coordinated within the town through various mental health, medical, transportation.
And I'm not trying to be,
Fire
I'm not trying to be
No, I don't
argumentative, I don't know
understand
any of these connections we've
I
established
don't
in this
under-
committee.
yeah, I
Well,
don't-
because
I
we're all
just-
relatively new. I'm the only one that's been here this
No,
long.
you have to explain that better,
Yeah.
Cheryl.
Yeah,
I
because
don't
So
know.
I mean,
we-
I'm looking
we
at, we
have-
haven't done anything, to be honest with you, I don't mean to be
Yeah.
rude.
Well, not since you, anyway,
I don't know that you could, to your point, I don't know so much that you can talk in the past.
Yeah.
I think you
Agree.
need to talk
Right,
Yeah.
more so
So
in the
what
future
we
as
have,
to
we
what
have
we can.
numerous
How do you
entities
help-
within the community who want to coordinate with the town itself rather than being separate to help provide better services throughout the community.
Maybe to
Uh,
say, this is the groundwork that
It
we've
is the
done,
groundwork.
and we're, ready, willing, and able to move forward, and we feel comfortable in being able to move forward, because we've established the basis with these entities, and they're interested in.
They're very
So you know
eager
what,
to work
like,
together.
like what Wendy said, I mean, like the Shine program,
Yeah.
okay, that
Yeah.
plugged in
Yeah.
and it's servicing a certain group and but what you said, maybe the social workers, maybe, again, who are we
So
servicing?
Falmouth Human Services, I describe it as like a hub, right?
Right.
And so someone goes in there and maybe there's food insecurity, maybe they don't have health insurance, maybe they're on very expensive medication that they haven't been taking because they can't afford it, but then they don't have a phone to make appointments or transportation. The social workers there work in a more traditional kind of case management role and coordinating. So it's the more vulnerable, complicated individuals. Then they partner with different agencies and they actually house that, like they kind of have
They
an open
connect the
room.
dots. They
Yeah.
connect the dots for
Yeah.
people.
And
Connect the
so
dots.
it's downtown, so there's public transportation that people can access. They're familiar with the building, so they go in and they apply for Mass Health. Or they go in and, they could be connected to a number of services. But really, Falmouth Human Services is in the more, like, they're the liaison in the community to help people with really complex needs find their way and not fall, not.
I understand, and this is where, again, I apologize, but I don't understand. I get that's what the department does.
Yeah.
What does the committee do? That's what I'm trying to find out, is
They-
what are we
they-
going to be doing?
How are you gonna be supporting?
So
Yes.
what I would like each committee member to do is to submit, if you can send to me what you feel we should be, to answer Betty's question, so that we can put that together.
I think, back to this might, with the reference to the committee, I think you have a very well-established department, they all understand their roles and they connect the dots. I would think that they would rely, or would hopefully rely, if they need to, on committee members to help them get to the
Connect the dots to
connect,
where they need to go.
take, pick up the ball and run with it. For instance, if somebody needs a ride, or, somebody needs additional assistance in filling out some of the applications, that they would call on the committee members to see if they would be receptive to kind of filling in I would think that that's maybe what Falmouth does as well. I don't know.
I don't believe that's their
No, I
role.
don't see how that
There's,
would work.
there's,
It's not.
there's clinicians that do that.
Okay.
I can reach out to Susie and I can ask that specific
Yeah.
question because I think it's a good one. So how does the
very good
committee
one.
serve? But I think right now, how we can serve is, I mean, we know there's tremendous need in our community. There's tremendous
I'd
need.
agree with that.
And, you know, I think what we're recognizing is that it's beyond the scope of what this advisory committee can do. And so if we have a director,
That's right.
and maybe the first year it's not supported by a grant, but then we work, maybe we work
It's
to
phased,
make
exactly. You
Yeah,
can't
it's a
get
start
from
off, it's a
0 to
launch.
100. You're gonna have to,
It's a launch.
So I'm looking at the Falmouth Service Center, and the services provided include clinical counseling, consultation and outreach, information triage referral on social service needs. This looks very intense on
Social work.
social work, medical work, social work.
And
Is
social
that-
work only.
And so I guess my question is, as we're talking about these other committees and these other divisions like the SHINE program and stuff like that, I mean, they already have homes in those divisions. We need to have a reason for being. So
Exactly.
is that what our reason for being is? Are
No,
we gonna take on
no.
more of the clinical work
No,
side
no,
of it?
I don't think that we would take on the clinical. I think our role would be to look at the needs in our community and provide structure to it.
Well,
So
that's
we wouldn't be, the committee wouldn't be direct care.
It's-
I don't believe.
No,
the
the
committee would ever be
human,
direct
human
care.
services, I'm saying that, I mean, I'm not talking about, because again, I don't know what the committee does. But the human services, that's the kind of the structure, clinical counseling and consultation, outreach, triage, referrals for social service needs. Is that what we
We
need to
have to-
do in this,
We
what
have
we're
to look
talking
at our
about?
purview.
I
Our
think-
purview has it spelled out. We're not trying to imitate that for social services.
I know, but your purview
Your
is part of
purview.
what we're looking at.
Exactly.
You
It's
need
very
to create
vague.
Yes.
Well,
something
it's-
that
it's- But it
adds.
covers a lot.
But
So-
isn't it, I mean, to your point, recognizing that what's our goal? Isn't
Yes.
our goal
Exactly.
really to ultimately have a real department, right? Would we agree to that?
The ultimate goal would be
The
to have a
ultimate
real
goal.
department, yes.
Okay, so
To
I-
prove
if
the
you-
need and to
But-
support it.
you gotta go, as we agreed, through phases.
Yes.
But the ultimate goal is to have a Susie person and you staffing like
Phase
that.
one.
There you go.
Well-
So you can't, like you say, you can't go from 0 to 100. So phase one is this.
I'd agree.
But with the focus being that with each productive phase, it gets us closer to achieving,
That's right.
getting the human in
You
that,
know, and
that
something
position.
that, you know, we started to, I know Kevin, you and Cheryl and I went to the homeless
Oh, yeah.
shelter. We are the only town with a homeless shelter on Cape Cod.
I know,
And
that's unbelievable.
When
isn't it?
Mr. L said, you know, Alyssa Magnotta came in and said it's moving, he said, that was news to me. Why aren't we plugged into the homeless shelter? How can that
That's
be?
part of what we should be doing.
I think that's one piece you could say immediately, I see you guys as plugging in somewhere. I know we talked
That-
about.
So that's a good
That's one
first,
of
that's a
our-
good first, what
That
we
would
do,
be-
homelessness, that we focus on.
Homelessness.
Wait a minute, we've already got the umbrella. The umbrella is homeless, it's mental health, it's housing.
It's those
uh,
5 items.
It's the 5 items that we already identified.
Housing, is that, in all honesty, is housing really us?
Yeah, is that
Yes.
really you?
Well,
That's not us.
it comes with some of the, only in relation to some of the homeless. I'm
Homeless.
getting-
Homeless, yes, but
Getting the
housing,
place.
when you
No,
say housing,
housing,
yeah,
no.
it's not us.
It's not us housing,
Right.
but it's with regard to the homeless.
Yeah.
It is the addictions, with
So we are
mental health.
we are a medical path, which is fine, I'm just
We
saying,
have- we have
that's what it
several
sounds
different
like when I'm
paths.
listening.
And
What
the
we did
elderly.
was we identified all the umbrellas of the things that with coordinated services, all the services that came under. Crime was one of them. And that's why we earmarked certain ones.
You know what, I would
I don't-
always, how I simplify it in my mind is, I mean, this is way back in Psychology 101, right? I think of Maslow's hierarchy of needs,
Oh,
that
yes.
triangle, right?
Yes.
And you think of really really we think of the bottom tier, right? That's
That's right.
safety,
That's right.
that's shelter,
Shelter,
that's
exactly.
food. It's basic human needs. And if we want people to climb to be self-actualized, I mean, we really need to start at the bottom tier.
I love that.
I think that's great, and I think that's what we need to say,
Right.
because, again, this, now what you're doing is giving me a purpose. Because by saying, well, this has that, we can do that, but if they're already being done by other divisions, we don't need to do that.
Yeah.
That's reinventing the wheel. Shine is where it is, let it stay there. What is missing in the town? It's not being accomplished.
I think what we're missing,
Homelessness is huge
it's
for
the
town.
disconnect.
Yes.
It's that liaison that
Right.
serves to
Yes.
connect.
Okay.
Yes.
That's
Which is what we need.
Which is-
I've called him a director, I don't care if you call him
Well, yeah.
liaison or
Okay.
advocate or whatever,
We-
but
but
yes,
that-
I
We
agree.
are also going in circles, but I think we've identified what we need to do. Now,
But I was just gonna say, when you talk to Chris, you cannot
no,
get
can't,
into
and we're
all
not.
this. You
We're not.
cannot.
You can't get,
got
it's,
to
you,
move
Thank
you
you,
gotta
Kevin, for
talk in
putting-
bullet points.
Yes,
Yeah.
that's what he
points.
wants.
Yep.
And I think, Kevin, this was very accurate in the tone. And I think as a group, this helps us to grow. When I read it, I was like, ooh, it's accurate. But I agree, we need to present it in a powerful way. And I think we can make slight modifications, but we can, like, here's what we've accomplished. Here's how we want to continue to grow and making a difference in our community.
So, if each person would send me the key issues that they want on, not several pages, the key issues, I've marked most of them, I think I've got all of them, but just in case, I tweak all of them. You all have my email, if you could send them to me.
Key issues,
Key issues that you want on a hierarchy to be addressed. I mean, obviously, we know what the goalpost is, so, and we should have a step goalpost. But send me your stuff to be covered. And I will, what's the best way to reach Chris? By phone, by
Call
email?
him.
I will give him a call.
and
Some
maybe
people
it
don't
should
like
be
to be
more
called.
than one of us.
No, it should be a group of you.
You know, that-
Should be.
This is a small group, it should be the whole group.
I would not go.
Because then you gotta
You would
point.
not?
No, because obviously I think you guys have more of a experience or handle of what you're doing. I'm still a little confused. I'm still a little jaded, thinking we need a leader, and if we're not going to get a leader, this doesn't make any sense.
Let's
So
find
I
a
would,
leader.
Let me
You
see,
get the grant to get the leader.
you're the one that's the grant expert here. I would,
I
pretty
think
much
the
like
three
it
of you
if
should
would-
go.
Yeah, I think 1,
2 and 3, absolutely, and represent what we
I don't wanna
established.
get bogged down with the social work part, I wanna stay focused on the whole
Because
thing.
you have the expertise
Yeah.
in this area.
You're
No, no,
saying,
we don't.
yeah,
We
you're
don't.
saying things that, I'm like, wow, that makes a lot of sense, but I've always felt there's no focus here, there's nothing, I don't know what to do, I don't have any guidance. We need guidance as a committee.
Yeah,
If your proposal, you're walking in and making a presentation, can get us that advocate, that director, that whatever you want to call it, to give us guidance of what they want, I'm in, I'm 100%, but right now, like you, I'm just coming to meetings and just sitting here and
No,
going,
it's-
we should do that, and that's
Yeah.
great, okay, let's go.
We
It's
have
just,
but we also
Remember,
end up
too,
beating it to death, we don't need to.
People work,
I
people
am-
have children.
this is what I'm saying, I
So,
agree.
you know, a 1:00 meeting for her.
But I
is-
would be working at 11 o'clock at night on something, and I still do that. So as ridiculous
So,
as I am.
Missy, are you
I
okay,
am.
or Sherry, you okay with that? 'Cause-
Okay.
I'm sorry, I'm listening to everybody.
I know, because it's getting
Here's your
lost,
question.
it's getting lost.
I know I will write I will write it from my perspective,
Yeah.
which is probably not the way you're envisioning it, but that's okay.
That's fine.
Because I just think,
Yeah.
I'm gonna write it from my public sector head to a director.
Yes.
Okay, that's what I'm gonna do. With all of that said, you mentioned collectively a number of different programs. I am clueless as to
No,
how that.
I know the programs that are
Okay.
there, so, yeah.
Where I'm going with that is, for me, I write in bullet points,
That's good.
and I want to be able to say, I think that, I'll just call it the ABC program, okay?
Okay.
I think, the Human Services Committee would be a great support system for the ABC program. that is responsible for the evaluating addiction issues in the community
Assessing
and
needs within the community.
assessing whatever.
That's all part of the
and-
purview.
And we have already established various connections with different entities that we could call upon quickly to,
And
blah,
who
blah,
are-
blah,
who are
whatever I
eager to
say.
get
But,
involved,
I mean,
yeah.
that's, I don't know all those different
Yeah. That's
programs
all right.
that are available, so.
Well,
So,
you
yeah, if
guys do.
if everybody,
You're the subject
if
matter
everybody,
experts.
if everybody could send me what they want on that, but Missy,
By 8:30 tonight?
no, go home, have a cup of coffee, or whatever you, dinner, or whatever you.
Okay, so what is your, Siri, all teas aside, what is your timeline for meeting
Well,
with
we're
Mr. Chris?
we're on Tuesday, any chance by the weekend?
Are we doing Tuesday as well?
Next
Next
Tuesday?
Tuesday?
It's not
Well, we can't do
posted for
two,
next
we can't
Tuesday.
do two per month yet, we haven't.
Right,
had that
right.
approved. So we
But-
went ahead and took this because people could make it, so,
Mm.
and as I said, I take ownership of that.
Well, which is all
But,
fine, but I mean, maybe because we're on a kind of like a short
we are.
timeline, maybe the appropriate thing would be, okay, I write whatever I wanna say and send
Well,
it to everybody and
yeah.
You
everybody
need to
writes
back
what
up from the
everybody.
21st.
Yeah.
The 21st is,
Yeah.
We can just
Very-
submit it to you and you can take it, well, I mean, we'll go with you, but as far as your presentation, Wendy and I may, reference a particular program, so you put that under, that program together,
Yeah.
what I have to say, what she has to say, and do it that way.
Yeah.
I mean, if that's acceptable.
That's fine. Okay, so, actually.
You're
there was an-
advocate,
There was an incident on another committee where people were sending it, because it wasn't for the agenda item, they were sending it to the others. And
You can't
that was an
violate open
that was an
meeting.
open meeting law, so we can't. So if you can send it to me, then I
just
can
to
coordinate.
Cheryl.
Yes,
Okay,
because
that's fine.
we have to always be careful of open meeting law.
Or just, you got an ad hoc committee here, just the three of you.
The three of you, there you go.
So just share it among the three of you.
but
Yeah.
you're,
Well, if anyone else has anything they
What
want
is your
to.
quorum, 4, 5?
Yeah.
Four.
Well, then the three of you
Yeah.
work as an ad hoc.
but you're advocating,
Don't send it to the rest of the people.
That's right.
you're hoping to have a meeting with Chris
Yes.
prior to the 21st and
Yes.
kind of like
And
lay
then
out,
you need to give him some time.
yeah,
To
okay.
consider.
Yeah, so
So
we have,
we can have it, well, I
a
don't,
week.
I know a lot of people work
21st.
during the week, so I don't wanna give time, I don't wanna say the next 48 hours, but if we can try to get it. for the
I
weekend.
say,
You got 2 weeks, yeah.
Sunday,
Yeah.
Sunday
21st,
is
2
the
weeks away.
11th.
I mean, the
So-
earlier the better, but I also realize that people are going home to family and that tonight, and they may not be able to get it done till tomorrow or the next day.
The 21st is a Wednesday? I don't know what day that
Yep,
is.
2 weeks from tomorrow.
Okay.
Yes, it
Is-
is,
Is that a waterfront meeting for you?
it probably is.
So what time is the magic?
3:30 to 5:30, I think I
Okay.
said. Yeah.
I can, I 21st, no, because we meet on the 19th.
3:30 to 5.
Then that would make the
That might be
21st
20
a
would be
Friday.
a Friday.
21st is a Wednesday.
Yeah.
21st is
Yeah, I have
Wednesday?
it
On Wednesday?
Wednesday, the 21st, from
Okay.
3:30 to 5.
Okay, so then it is, I was told it was the 19th. Okay.
I'm looking at, is that gonna be a HHDC day?
Oh, yeah, you were on that
Well,
committee too.
that's what I'm saying, is that not an HHTC day, but it's not.
I think it's 2 weeks. I'm looking it up right now. Boards, committees.
Oh, I know what I'm thinking on the 19th, that's when the, something expires for that meeting.
5/21, yep. 5/21, which is the day of your meeting.
Ah, but
So
that's-
you'll still be, your meeting before that, so you're
Yeah,
fine.
but you'd be in meetings, I'm just
Yeah.
mentioning it because that
I'm
could
glad you did.
complicate your life, because,
Oh, my life is so
but
complicated. It
instead of
doesn't-
just showing up, it's for a 6:30 meeting, all of a sudden you'd be starting
Yeah.
a meeting at 3, did you say?
3:30.
3:30.
But again,
3:30
it's
till
not
when?
for Cheryl, it's
Yeah,
for
no.
the department
It's
heads,
right.
but
3:30 till
5.
5, okay, so
But-
that works, yeah,
As far as attendance,
yeah.
we would all be in attendance.
You could be. The required attendance is the department heads.
That's right.
But there is no opportunity for public comment?
Oh, there is plenty of
Okay, well,
opportunity.
Okay,
I think you should be in attendance, but it's not
I
required.
will be in attendance.
okay.
So. but
Is there a
wanna
way
go-
you can get, the meetings, our meetings at 6:30, and if yours starts at
Yeah,
3:30, get her.
we're fine.
Like, go early? Like, make sure she's one of the early ones to present?
Yeah, I'm not sure what they've
Whatever
set
the
up.
Well, I'm gonna
agenda
wait
is,
till after I talk
whatever.
with Chris.
Yeah.
And then figure that one out.
I don't think Cheryl's presenting.
I'm not presenting.
No, but
that.
I guess what he's saying is, as far as,
If they have any questions,
they
yeah.
haven't,
Yeah.
but I would think if I
I
read
think
you,
we should put human services first because it's the most difficult one.
of the 5.
Yes.
Okay.
Well, I
that
don't know,
you
we
would-
don't know which the question mark one was.
Right. And that way, you can get,
We don't know what the fifth one is. I
You
can't.
know what?
If they pick it up at
Being
3:30,
first
you'll
would
be
be
out there.
such a wonderful position to be in there, to like hit the ground running.
Sure.
I
that'd be
think we were
great.
fortunate enough
Yeah.
to do that. So
So,
let's
Let's get the
plan.
information to me, and then we'll, coordinate that, I'll get that out.
Well, there, the
My
other
number is always
committees,
available, what?
the other committees, they could have a bunch of, cheerleaders. Nobody wants to get axed, so there could be a lot of, it could actually get a little contentious in there.
We'll
if,
see how it goes.
you know,
You think so?
some-
Really?
I'm sure the golf committee isn't gonna be going.
They could take their money and go.
Yeah.
It makes a lot of money for this town. But
Yeah,
anyway,
they do make a lot of money for this
they
town.
really do.
But to that point, they probably won't be one that will,
It's crazy if no offense, if the town council
They'll take their money
takes
and
out their
run,
golf
yeah.
permit.
How did the council come to these 5? I mean, why did the
Seth
golf?
Burdick. I said, Seth, pick the 5. We got to start somewhere. We're not touching the regulatory ones.
Right.
Yeah.
Because obviously they're regulatory. We're doing the advisory ones. And I said, pick the first 5.
how many advisory ones are there in the town?
There's like 40. It's unwieldy. It really is.
So
So
this actually in concept may not, because I want our committee to go out the door, but I mean, in concept, to shrink the list could be actually a good
It's a
idea.
good thing. Yeah, there's a lot of, there's a
the
lot
town
of,
should be,
Yeah.
things should be value added. They should have meaning.
I agree.
mean, people shouldn't be coming in here wasting their time. Everybody has busy lives.
I agree, which is why I'm saying, if we don't have a purpose, we really don't have a need to be here. That's why the
Yes.
purpose is the key.
Purpose
That's
is the
right,
key.
purpose is the key. All right, so we know where we're going on that. If there's any questions, my
I have
number
a
is always
question.
available, right?
Oh, for
When-
God's
when-
sake.
Okay, I do really well with timelines. When do we want this document or the document that's going to be presented to Chris? When do we want the final draft of that? So
Well, it's not
the
so much a
20
document. The document is the report to the town council. That is
But
June.
that may be moot.
I know,
Yeah, yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, it could
Yes,
be.
but I think we need something concrete to
They're
present to
two
Chris.
different things. So what we're going to do is
Phase
I
one,
can
Phase
tell you
one.
that the town
Yes.
council doesn't want to hear complaints either.
exactly,
Okay.
that's right.
Well, then,
And I do thank you for putting it
I think
together.
I'll have to move to the city.
Yeah, they don't want complaints. Well, that's nice. But guess
to
what?
answer your question, I would say what we need to do, Cheryl gets to determine the date. We need to get our information to her to put together her talking points
Yes.
to Chris. Okay, that's phase
Exactly.
one,
That happens, sorry,
which will be.
that happens before the 21st,
Yes.
correct?
Yes, it has to
Wednesday,
have-
Saturday.
Yeah, okay,
Hopefully
so
next week.
we
It's next week,
We
okay?
provide that information to her. We all go on the 21st, and that's gonna determine our fate. If we're successful, then the next phase is based on whatever Chris has to say, whatever we present to him. Then we reconvene and figure out how to craft a
document for
revised
the
one of
town.
these.
Document.
Do I have that right?
Yes.
Yes, I
That's
think
exactly
that's
right.
exactly right.
Two things, but the other's just talking points, but proposals. Okay, so,
And by the way, because we will not meet, you won't be able to share these documents with us.
That's right, you won't be able to.
So I'm just
That's a
trusting you guys will
violation,
do the,
yeah.
we'll do the.
You mean the
right thing.
talking points?
No,
Yeah.
you can't. It's
Can't.
an
No,
open
I'm just
meeting.
clarifying.
Yeah.
You're talking the talking points.
I mean, with the proposal you're
Only
about to put
the
together
three of you
can't be
discuss
shared
it.
between us.
well,
So,
I call them talking points because I
Yes.
think, I call this
Yes.
a proposal, so.
say, the talking points you're putting together,
Yeah.
we can't be involved in because that would be
No,
Okay,
open
got
meeting.
it.
So what I'm trying to say is,
But
I
they-
have my total trust
Oh, yes.
in the
But
three of you, that
please
you will.
submit what you want to be the talking points.
Right,
Your
but
thoughts.
the finished
cannot
document, I can't,
talk
I
to
won't be
him
able to
It
about-
see.
won't be a document, it's
So,
talking
I,
points.
Yeah, you
all I'm
won't
trying
know
to say
what we're
is,
gonna talk about.
I trust
But
the
we can go
three
on
of
the
you
21st.
to be
Yeah,
able
it's a
to put
public,
that all
you
together.
can be part of
Reveal
the
it at the
public.
21st.
Yes.
We can't hear about your meeting with Chris, we can't, any of that,
Right.
okay?
But you're welcome as
And-
a resident of the community to come to the meeting.
Well, yeah, as
Anyone
a
can
committee
come.
member, yeah, it's the 21st.
Well, if you're coming as a member of the public, it's one thing, but if you're coming as a committee not member, I'll have to check open meeting law, because we'll have more than 4.
You're not coming as a
or we'll have
committee
4 more
member,
than.
you're coming as a resident.
I'm
Yes.
gonna bring coffee.
All
I'm
right.
gonna go to Dunkin' Donuts and
Don't
bring
forget the
coffee.
sweets.
Delivery
Okay.
person.
That's right, that's what you're gonna do.
All
I'm gonna
right.
do a Shirley Temple impersonation.
There you go,
Is it on,
yes. You
Is
still
it
have to
online?
have your nails done.
or after it's done, or
Yes,
something? Or
just saying.
during?
Oh, it's recorded, absolutely.
Because I'm,
I didn't see it
that's
on
in
the
the middle of my
recording.
workday, I can't go.
I looked for it, I couldn't find it.
It's there.
What?
I thought you watched it.
Maybe she watched it on
Twice.
TV.
Yeah, there you go. You
She
watched
watched
it
it,
twice.
she watched it, she
107.2.
watched it on
Yeah.
107.2. It's not on the videos on demand.
It's gotta be.
It has to be.
Maybe
It
it's
has
just
to be.
not there yet.
Might not be there
It's
yet.
I don't-
gotta be.
I don't see committee on, unless it's under town council,
Let me know
I don't
if
see
you-
committee on.
Usually,
committee.
isn't it
Look on the
posted?
schedule.
Kevin's looking at it right
on
now,
the
he doesn't see it.
on the town website, you usually
Not
can
there?
click on it.
I'm looking at boards and committees, and I'm looking for committee on committees,
I
and I
couldn't
don't see
find
that.
it.
It may just not be there yet,
Well,
Well,
no,
how
it should
did
be
I
up
see
within
it
about
twice?
48 hours.
because you saw
was
it,
last
you
week.
watched it live.
You watched it live?
Let's
She watched it.
look.
They weren't on
Yeah.
twice. There had to be a
review
tape.
it every,
No, you
Couple
watched
days.
it while it was
they put
happening.
it on again.
No, I
they're
watched
looking-
it once today,
Let's
I
see if
don't
the
know.
town council has, the
or
meeting.
yesterday. I've watched it
Sometimes they don't
twice.
put them up. They used to not.
When
but
was
they-
it?
The town council meetings here, but I
I
don't see
turned it
committee
on
on
'cause
committee
I wanna
meetings.
get
There's
the-
nothing on committee on committees.
It was the 30th, it was last
Sign
month.
your orange vest, have some
But
fun.
yeah, I looked
caught
up
her
committee on
in her
committees.
yard
Yeah, I
with
don't
her
see
orange
it.
vest when I drove by.
Oh,
her
wait,
house.
subcommittees.
Yeah, just saying.
Here's the committee on committees.
Where is it, under subcommittee?
Here's the video.
Oh, okay, then I can watch it.
It was on the 30th of April.
Okay,
Committee,
It says video right there.
okay,
I don't know, everything's
So that
slow
must be
here.
what
so-
you
okay,
watched.
good. I know where to get it.
Look at the
So
town
actually,
calendar,
it was a
Kevin,
meeting was
under
really
April
good.
30th.
count,
And here it is, right there.
Okay, it is.
There's the exact name of the committee. I call it the
Okay.
Committee on Committees,
oh,
but
okay.
What is it
that's-
called?
what is it called? Read it,
The
Cheryl.
committee to
Committee
review
to
the
review-
purpose, composition, functionality, and effectiveness of the standing committee of the
It's kind of
town.
a lot of work.
That's insane.
The alphabet committee.
There's the video,
Yeah.
Okay.
okay? And then you'll find out what the 5 ones that were chosen.
There you go.
Do you want me to call you and let you know?
That's just our way of finding out what our competition is.
Yeah.
Well, and it's not like choose 3 to get rid of or something. It's,
These are just the first 5. We're gonna look at all of them.
As you
know what?
should,
I
I
think
I think
think
you should too. I think you should too. I'm not against it. Okay, so.
And again, like I said before, I'm not against if the town decides, you know, human services really isn't doing anything more for us than we need, then we'll just shut
Then
it
you're
down.
gone.
That's your
Shut it
prerogative,
down.
and I have
Yeah.
no
Okay,
hard feelings at all.
membership, we're hoping to get Patrick on. I did notice
I thought
him
he
come
was
in and
on.
go out and come in and go out.
Yeah, they look like
Didn't we
something was
vote
wrong.
to put him on? I thought that
He
vote.
has to go
I
in
thought
front
I
of the
read
council.
somewhere
He
that
can't,
he was gonna be on.
It's
he
done.
doesn't go before the council.
We already
Well, it was
voted.
told that it was done, but he's not on our list as a member.
Doesn't it have to be
No.
like verified
He has
by
to
the
go to-
town?
No,
Yeah, it's gotta be read,
It's gotta be.
It
read.
was.
usually 2 reads,
We
right?
did it. It's
2
done.
readings.
We voted at the last
He
meeting.
said that he
I swear we
actually,
did.
yeah, he said that.
But
it
now
was
he's
told-
gotta go to Ann Quirk and get kind of sworn in kind of a thing.
Oh, yeah.
He said he
He's
was
gotta do
told
that.
it was a yes, but he has to get a letter, so I'm chasing
Oh.
that.
Oh, I think you take the letter,
Yes.
Yeah,
and
you
then
have to
you-
take
that's
the
what
letter.
you used to
Ann
get.
Quirk. Well, he was voted on. I know we
Okay.
voted on the list
Yeah,
at the last meeting.
okay, so, information gathering and cataloging. I'd like people to take categories. What I had said that maybe Wendy and I take mental health and health. You already, Suzanne, you've taken the elderly and you've taken the,
I got the police.
Are we talking about the
Barnstable Police,
database?
the
Yes.
fire,
Yeah.
the Centerville Fire Station,
Yep.
and,
and you've already done some meetings on that and you're starting to put it together. Kevin, do you want to do communications?
Sure, what do we?
What are you doing?
Yeah, I don't know.
Parts for the database. I've mentioned a number of times,
You know,
people choose categories.
Didn't you, on the database, didn't you create a one sheet that was supposed to be sent out to people, or was that just for the services? Remember we sat here, we edited that one sheet? That's the last I know about any kind of
Okay,
stuff.
I would only suggest that until we know our fate, that.
I think that's a good idea.
I agree.
You don't
Yeah, okay, let's
start
do that.
I
assigning.
think you have enough to do.
Yeah.
Okay,
Yeah, with,
Good
once you know your fate, then if we're gonna move forward, I think that would be
Good
a
point.
more appropriate
Good
time.
point.
By the way, that
I'll
may
shelve that.
be one of those, I guess I'll tell you,
We'll just
that'd be one of
continue
those
it,
things you
Sharon?
wanna put on the duties that we're trying to do is that database.
Okay, so we've talked about the report, public comment, I'm closing public comment. We don't have any matters not reasonably anticipated by the chair. So I will hopefully get that information by the weekend. And anything else you'd like to say, Betty?
I think I've said enough.
And entertain a motion for adjournment.
Motion to adjourn.
Seconded by Wendy.
No, I want to keep talking.
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any abstentions, any nays? Okay, we're good, we're adjourned.
By the way, I feel bad.
Hold on a minute, hold on.
Yep.
Rebecca, we are adjourned. Thank you very much for your help tonight.
Thank you.